So I work with high caliber influencers. I have a portfolio of 5 million followers across my clients. And so one of the biggest things that I've realized is the biggest reason most people don't make money or don't get results for their clients is because they just don't take action. Action's the number one catalyst that moves you forward in life and in business especially. And I've seen so many people who just don't take any action whatsoever. I see inaction being one of the biggest problems there is. So I figured I'd just shoot this quick little video here. Let me get this set up real quick. So one of the biggest questions that I get asked on a daily basis is just like, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you pushing through even when you don't feel like it? And there's a few different things, and I'm going to kind of go over those things in this video. And the number one thing holding you back from getting to 10K a month is genuinely your motivation and your discipline. And so those two things are not mutually exclusive. You need both of them. But I think the big problem that most people face is that they have neither of them. They have very low ambition and motivation. They also have very low discipline. And so motivation helps you build that discipline. You need motivation to kickstart your discipline builds. And then after you get your discipline built, you continue to build your discipline through momentum. So in this video, I'm going to bring out the whiteboard here. So this is a graph of how motivation and discipline work. In the green here, we have motivation, right? And in the red, we have discipline. When you're first starting out, you're going to exponentially get motivation. It's going to exponentially go up. Then as we get to this point where we start to lack the motivation to do things, we have to rely on discipline, and discipline flatlines out. As we go up, discipline gets lower and lower. And discipline is built by consistently having momentum. Now, the more discipline you have, the more it will go up. Now, for motivation, you're going to get another boost of motivation, and then that discipline is going to start flatline again. And so this is the cycle of motivation and discipline. And so when we only rely on one thing, we get into trouble. The biggest reason that most people don't have the motivation to move forward is they don't have any reason. They don't have a why. They don't have a purpose. And so it is crucial that in business you have a vision, not just for yourself, but for your clients and for your team. Your company vision needs to be able to fit your team members' visions inside of it, meaning that your team members should have a vision and you should have a vision that overarches that. Now, my framework for creating a vision is my AIM framework. I think it's super, super effective. I've used it for plenty of times to create visions. The first thing that you need to do is assess your current state. The second thing that you need to do is imagine your future. And this is through visualization. This is through looking at what are my goals? What are my 3 to 6 month goals? What are my 12-month goals? What are my 10-year goals? And you need to think big. You have to think bigger than most people would, right? My goals aren't just to like be making 10K a month. My goals are to be making 1 mil a month, 10 mil a month, 100 mil a month. I want to be making as much as possible. I want to be the richest man ever. I would love that. But everybody wants the same things. But the problem is most people aren't willing to do what it takes to get there. And so you have to map out what you're willing to sacrifice in order to get to those goals. And that comes to the M in the AIM framework, meaning map it out. Map out the actions and the inputs that you're going to take on a daily basis in order to get to your goals. So this right here is what I call the life equation. Basically, life is made up of inputs and outputs, and everything inside of life and inside of business is made of inputs and outputs. And so the trick is to figure out what inputs you need to put in, because you can't control the outputs, you can only control the inputs. But one other thing that you can control that's super, super important is the multiplier. The richest of the rich understand this. They understand that instead of just trying to increase the amount of work hours you put in, you have to increase the amount that you make per work hour that you do. And so your goal should be to get this multiplier as high as possible. Now, as you can see, I have written here, would you rather have a 3x multiplier or a 0.3x multiplier? Obviously, you'd rather have a 3x multiplier. You want to have the biggest multiplier possible. Now, what happens when we take that to 30x multiplier? We're able to make way more money doing the same amount of inputs. And in this case, you want to have the multiplier that is the biggest. The problem is most people think that they can just sit around, relax on a beach, and make 10K a month, and it's just not realistic for 99.9% of the population. Realistically, I don't want to be sitting on a beach. I don't think that I'd want to be on a vacation. I just don't enjoy that. I enjoy work. I enjoy the stress. And so if you'd rather just sit around and watch anime and scroll TikTok all day, business probably isn't for you. And that's just the truth. That's probably going to piss some people off. The watch time's going to get all screwed up right here because everybody's going to be leaving and rage quitting over the anime joke. However, super, super important. You have to be able to do this for the rest of your life. If you start to look at this as a lifelong journey instead of just a 3-month journey, you're going to be able to progress a lot faster and a lot easier than your competition. The thing that motivates me the most personally is just my team. I truly believe that I have the greatest team in the world. I have the greatest closers. I have the greatest setters. I got the greatest content people. I have the greatest team in the world, and I 100% believe that. Your goal, instead of just trying to build an average team, should be to build an army. When you have that army for you who's ready to go to war for you, you're gonna get up and have to lead that team. And so that's what creates the actual motivation to get up and do things. The truth is, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. And so if you don't have an army that's ready to go to war for you, they're gonna go to war against you and you're gonna be moving backwards. And so you have to pick high quality people. I stress this so much. This is one of the biggest things that I see most people messing up is they don't hire off of culture and they have a terrible work culture. The greatest part about my team is that we have a good work culture. We're not just always sitting there in a suit and tie saying, hey, what can we do to change these numbers? Although, yes, you have to do that. That's basic business. You'd have to do that sometimes. Like, it's not all about the work. You have to care about them more than they care about themselves. You have to care about their personal life. You got to talk to them more than just like, a business colleague. You got to talk to them like they're a friend because they have to be. If you don't treat your colleagues like a friend, if you don't treat your team members like a friend, especially the people who you're leading, you're not going to be able to actually have a happy life. The reason that I love to do what I do is because I can grind out a 12-hour day, but I know my team will eat and will be able to have a great life, right? I care about them more than anything. The biggest thing that you have to recognize about discipline is that it's gained through momentum. And the reason most people don't have any motivation to start is because they never do. And the problem with that is that you spend so much time as a perfectionist. I've seen people who buy programs from my clients, who buy programs from me. I have an inner circle program, not trying to sell you on anything, but people will buy my inner circle program and then they just won't take any action on it and then wonder why they're not getting results. Well, if you say that you're going to start a personal brand or you say that you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're not only like, I don't really care that you're not keeping the promise to myself. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to try my best to. But at the end of the day, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? So you have to make sure that you are actually doing what you say you're going to do and that you're not letting yourself down. Because when you don't do that, you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting all the other people who depend on you down as well. And so dependence is one of those things that I want to talk really in depth on right here. My business is super dependent on me. If you've read 48 Laws of Power, I got it back here behind me. Law 11 states that learn to keep people dependent on you. That's the law. And so my business is built on dependence. I go into the business for a creator and basically run their entire operations for them to where they basically can't operate without me. You have to become a linchpin in the system. You got to become dependent. And if you can become dependent, it's going to be so much easier for you. Dependence solves bottlenecks and bottlenecks create wealth. Now, another big thing that I see a lot of people struggling with on this momentum side is like, how do you move so fast? And I think part of it's just going for it. Most people are paralyzed in fear. They don't ever make that decision to start moving. And if you don't ever start, you're never going to roll down the hill. So here we have a snowball rolling down the hill. When we start out, it's small, and as we go down, it gets larger. And so the way that you build up that speed and build up that momentum is by getting larger, by continuing to go down the mountain, right? You have to continue to go. You have to continue to move with speed. And so speed is king in everything you do. If you say that you're going to start a business and then you come back to me in 3 months and you still haven't filed your LLC, I lose a ton of respect for you because that takes 2 days. You're underestimating the amount of work that certain things take. To create a video, if I tell you, hey, go create a video, you should be able to have that done by tonight, right? If I tell you, hey, go start a personal brand, start an Instagram, post a YouTube video, post 9 posts, that takes maybe 2 days. You gotta go collect the posts. Like, that's the simple stuff. And so if you can't do the simple stuff right at the top of the hill, you're never gonna be able to operate a huge operation and actually grow your operation as you get further down the hill. And so that's one of the big things that I think so many people struggle with is just getting started. And once you do, you can move with much more speed at a much higher rate. And so that's kind of my lesson for today is just operate with speed, become dependent, have people dependent on you, and stay disciplined. Like the way that you gain discipline is by doing things that require discipline and by building momentum. And so everything in motivation and in the discipline side is built strictly through momentum. And so this is the one thing that 99% of people are missing in business is just the momentum and the discipline to keep going, even when they don't feel like it and even when they want to quit. So hopefully this video was helpful. If so, go drop me a comment and let me know. If not, go drop me a comment and let me know as well. It helps me in the algorithm sincerely. And I appreciate you watching all the way to the end. You're a real one for that. And any questions you have at all, like literally just anything you want, you have questions on or you have value that you want, just hit me up and I'll be happy to send you a message with that. So hopefully that makes sense and I'll see you later. Peace.